Hi there, folks, and welcome to Hotel California. You're never going to leave. Just kidding. You can leave after the video's finished. But in all seriousness, I'm going to look today at a new series of lessons called What Would You Play? And the idea is, imagine that you're called into a recording studio, such as this, and there's a brand new track that's being recorded, and they're asking you as a guitar player, a session guitar player, to come in and play a solo. And what I want to equip you with is the knowledge of how to play a solo over a piece of music, over a chord progression, and what the logic is behind the note choices and all that kind of thing. So let's just dive right into this song, Hotel California. Okay, so you're probably pretty familiar with the song Hotel California by now. But in case you don't know the chords, here are the basic chord progression for the song. First of all, we got B minor, then F sharp 7, then we got an A, then we got E7, then G, D, E minor, F sharp 7. Back to the beginning. Okay, so that's a really pretty chord progression, and that's the loop that the solo is performed over. So the first thing we need to do when we're trying to solo over progression is to try and figure out some kind of a key center. So the basic way that I do that is I look at all the chords and I decide how they kind of fit together, which one sounds like home, and basically how the other chords fit around that. So if we look at this progression, we got B minor, which is the notes of B, D, and F sharp. The next chord is F sharp 7, which is F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and E. Then we got A, which is A, C, and E. And then we got E7, which is E, G sharp, B, D. Then we got G, which is G, B, D, and then D, which is D, F sharp, A, and then E minor, which is E, G, B, and then F sharp 7, which is F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, E. Okay, so the first thing we do is we pool all of those notes together. And when we do that, if we put them in alphabetical order, starting from B, because we kind of established at this point that B minor sounds like home. And basically, when we pull all those notes together, we're going to get the following notes. We're going to get B, C sharp, D, we got E, we got F sharp, we got G, we got A, we got A sharp, G, back to B. Okay, so basically we got these notes. Okay, now all in all, if we look at B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, that is a B minor scale, a B Aeolian scale. Now, we also notice it has the F sharp in there, which is a borrowed note from B harmonic minor. So really, this F sharp 7 chord is slightly outside of the key of all the other chords. If we put all the other chords notes together, we just get a natural, B natural minor scale, or B Aeolian, if you want to call it that. But we see this G sharp note is in the F sharp 7 chord is slightly outside of the key center of the rest of the chords. So we consider this a temporary B harmonic minor chord because it's introducing this natural 7 into the mix. So generally speaking, we say it's in B minor. Now, if you want to be specific, it's kind of in B natural minor for the most part, and then I consider the F sharp 7 chord to be a borrowed chord from outside of the key. If it were inside of the key, it would be an F sharp minor 7. But then we miss that pull, that kind of harmonic minor pull. So yes, B natural minor will be our key center. Now, having said all of this, I personally wouldn't recommend to think in terms of one scale over this kind of progression. Okay, I think it sounds pretty bland, pretty boring if you just think of the scale only. The way I think of things is I think of the arpeggio of each chord. So that's your B minor, F sharp 7, A, E7, G, D, E minor, F sharp 7. So the first thing that I would recommend doing is to learn your arpeggios in one position. Now, you'll notice in the original solo, he's using a lot of pentatonic and then throwing in certain key notes, like when it hits the F sharp 7, throwing in that third of the F sharp 7 chord as soon as the chord hits. So this is what we call guide tones, which is going to be my next topic. Let's talk about that right now. Okay, so guide tones are really the notes that we use to guide our way through the chord progression. And they, in general, would tend to be chord tones, so notes of the chord. So when you're in a B minor, you could target the root, the third, or the fifth, for example. And this is the most kind of tried and tested method of navigating your way through chord changes. So just as a quick example, what I want to do is I want to target the fifth on the B minor chord, and then I want to target the third of the F sharp 7 chord. So that would be an F sharp note for the B minor and an A sharp note for the F sharp 7 chord. So when I say target, I'm going to kind of lead into them in some way. So I could use the scale as a vehicle to do that. So I could go, you know, I could go up the entire scale, or to target that B minor. So like that, for example, or I could go down to the scale, or down to that target tone. And then the same thing to the F sharp 7 chord. I could lead, or I could go, you know, there's so many different ways to target these notes. Let me just demonstrate that right now with a backing track. Let's just try that out. Okay, so hopefully you heard that. I went, and I targeted that. So I target the fifth, da da da, there's the fifth, da 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 da, there's the third. So you're kind of using those chord tones as the notes that you want to land on to get in the chord, and I'm using a scale as a vehicle of stepping into those notes. Now you could step up to the notes or step down to the notes. There's so many different ways of doing this, which you kind of learn along the way. So the first one I did was lead up to that fifth, and then kind of down to that third, and so on. And then you could do that for the next chord, which is A. I could target, for example, the root of A. So I went 5th of the B minor, the 3rd of F sharp 7, then the root of A, and then maybe the 3rd of E7, and then maybe the 3rd of G, and then maybe the 5th of the D, then maybe the 3rd of E minor, and then the 3rd of F sharp 7, then the 5th of B minor, the 5th of F sharp 7, maybe the root of A, and the 3rd, and so on and so forth. So you really need to know that chord progression. You need to have it memorized inside and out, and also know the arpeggios of each chord, and know what notes or what intervals are in the arpeggios, and be able to at will land on a certain note. And this is a very, very good way of soloing over really any chord progression, but especially chord progressions where the chords move around a little bit and it spends a little time on each chord. So if you think about it, this chord progression, you've got quite a long time on each chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the tempo is about 74 beats per minute. And so, you know, that's quite a length of time on each chord to explore. Now, if the chords were going, you know, fast, obviously you're not going to have as much time to kind of really nail each change effectively, or even want to necessarily. But in this case, in this particular song, we really need to do that. And as I said, thinking about just one scale is going to end up sounding really not that melodic, because as the chords move around, you spend enough time on each chord for your ear to really hone in on the qualities of that chord. So you need to in some way reflect that. And that happens in the original solo. If you think about phrases like that, which happens over the E7, that's really honing in on that 3rd of the E7 there. So it happens all throughout the original solo. Okay, so just to wrap up, I just want to really just remind you that what you've got to do is you've got to memorize the progression, learn the arpeggios of each chord, and then set about really honing in on the chord tones, and choose a particular chord tone each time you go around. Now, it doesn't have to be the same chord tone each time. You could choose the 3rd on one chord, maybe the 7th on another, and so on and so forth. But the main thing is you are landing on a chord tone. And don't forget, the thirds are going to differ from each chord type. So minor, it'll always be a minor third on the B minor as opposed to a major third. So, you know, it's just as you learn the arpeggios, you will pick that up. But I hope this has been really useful to you. I'm going to play you out here with another improvised solo over Hotel California. If you got any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified when new content is uploaded. I've been Nick Kelly. Thank you once again, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.